We want to know more about you and where you grew up.
Sure. I'd be happy to fill that in for you as best I can. So I was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland, born in 1948, and grew up in Baltimore. And my parents were lovely people, had a very happy childhood. Wasn't until I got into college and then medical school and medical training where I started having anger problems and stress problems and things that started to bother me a lot, and relationship failures and all those kind of life challenges that I found difficult to succeed at.
Great. So great childhood with fantastic parents.
Yeah.
So in addition to them, who influenced your life the most?
In Baltimore, my dad and I were sports fans, and at the time we had the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Colts was our football team, and I took a liking to and idolized the quarterback for the Colts, who was Johnny Unitas at the time. A Hall of Fame quarterback. I think he invented the 2-minute offense, and that was his calling card. He could, even before Tom Brady and other quarterbacks who would, engineer these winning drives, he just had this mindset, this attitude that he was going to engineer a win no matter what. His winning attitude just kind of seeped into me without even me trying. And I noticed in retrospect that my whole life had been influenced by that. That I ended up with this winning attitude. I didn't really get it from my parents, although, like I said, they were nice, loving people. But I got that winning, positive attitude that no matter what happened, I was going to prevail. I was going to figure it out. I was going to find a solution. I was going to achieve whatever it is I wanted to achieve, no matter what the obstacles. I got that from Johnny Unitas. It really made an impact on me, and I can see the thread of it going through my entire life. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so you followed sports, but did you play any sports?
Oh yeah. I played lots of sports. I was actually pretty good for my size. I was small, but I was fast, and I played pretty good. And I spent hours and hours as a kid with a friend of mine after school. We'd throw a football around, and we'd pretend to be Johnny Unitas, and the other would be Raymond Berry, who was his favorite receiver. And we would just spend hours just fantasizing, about being, like Johnny Unitas. And then I sort of had that. I took a leadership role in the teams that I was on whenever I could. And it's funny. I remember as like a 10-year-old, I said to myself, I want to grow up and be like Johnny Unitas, but of course I'm never going to be a professional quarterback. I mean, that's not in the cards. And I forgot about that, and then I even forgot about the influence of Johnny Unitas. And then I remember I'm in my medical practice. I've been practicing for a number of years, and there was a period where I had nobody in the waiting room, and I just had some time by myself just to reflect. And I was sitting at my desk, and I went like, holy crap. I did become a quarterback, a professional quarterback. As a doctor, I'm like quarterbacking my team, which is my patients. And, I'm bringing them up to the line of scrimmage, and we're facing this formidable opponent, illness and disease. And I'm calling the plays, with them, with their cooperation. And I'm trying to, take them to victory. I'm trying to, keep them alive. I'm trying to keep them healthy. And I look back and I said, unconsciously, that promise I made to myself, or that dream I had at age 10, and now I'm in a medical office taking care of patients. I said that probably had something to do with where it came from.
That came true for you, and that's good. So that pattern recognition helped. You were able to transport, and the touchdowns and the stories you made, and with those patients was probably even more important than the ones that Johnny you made. But in addition to playing sports, any other kind of childhood activity like? Were you into music as well? Or were you into reading? Did you?
It's funny. A lot of the things that I absolutely hated as a kid, as a teenager, and going through high school and everything. I hated reading. Mm-hmm. I hated writing. I hated doctors and sick people. I never wanted to be a doctor. My parents wanted me to be a doctor, but I never wanted to be, because I hated all that stuff. I figured doctors read a lot and studied a lot, and that wasn't me. So it turns out everything that I hated, I ended up doing to the max as an adult. So I've been writing forever. I've written like 26 books now. I love to read. I became a doctor. All this, the opposite of what I thought was going to happen happened. And, it was kind of amazing that it worked out that way.
So let's fast forward now into your work and your aspirations now. What is the essence of your wellness work that you do today, and what do you get out of it?
Well, I've always been interested in the mind and the body and psychology, and how that all everything goes together for human beings. What I'm interested in now is helping people deal with their emotions and solve any problems they're having with their emotions. For example, anger is a big area of my focus. helping, there's so much anger in the world today, helping people lessen that anger, helping if they're in a relationship and they're having a lot of anger issues, or their parents, and they're worried about how their anger might be impacting their kids or their marriage. Or even if you're in business, you're a business owner and you're getting into conflicts with your staff or with potential customers or vendors or whatever. Anger can cause mischief in lots of different ways. Not to mention the fact it also causes health problems. So as a physician, if we lower the anger level in people, we're going to be doing preventive medicine, really. So my focus has been on anger and other emotions to help people really get more insight into where their emotions are coming from, understand them better so that they can then take control of the emotions instead of the way most people live today, where our emotions sort of dictate, to us. Really in the mode of educating people about their emotions and emotional intelligence. And that's where I'm really focused on right now.
Well, we really look forward to really peeling back the layers on that. There's a lot there to unpack. But
Yeah.
Did you always know you wanted to be a medical doctor, or when did that?
No, like I say, I didn't. I always knew I did not want to be a medical doctor. And it's funny how I became one because, again, my parents were pressuring me and I didn't want anything to do with it. But to make them happy, I'd always been, I got turned on to biology very early on. So I was into science. So when I got to college, I went to Duke. I took pre-med courses because you got the best science courses, but I had no intention of going to medical school. I even applied to medical school to make my parents happy, but I had no intention of going. I got accepted to medical school, but I was definitely not going to go. I decided late in my college career I wanted to be a biochemist.
Okay.
So I scheduled an appointment with the head of the biochemistry department at Duke to apply for a postgraduate position. And I walked into his office. He didn't know me from anybody. And I started to explain to him my situation, just like I explained to you. Got in, applied to medical school, make parents happy, got in, not going to go. I really want to be a biochemist. And he listened to me for about 5 minutes. And when I was finished talking, it was his turn to talk. He looked me right in, he leaned forward, looked me right in the eyes. He said, "Are you some kind of an idiot?" It just completely floored me. I was not expecting that. And he went on to explain, he said, "Don't you know that you would, if you want to be a biochemist, you'd be much better off with an MD degree than with a PhD degree like I have. And you have to fight for grants all the time. And you got into medical school and you're not going to go? Don't you know that you go to medical school, you don't have to end up being a practicing doctor?" And I went like, I really didn't know that. To me, that was the only reason you go to medical school, is to be a practicing doctor. So in this 15-minute conversation, and then he said to me, he said, "What's the worst that can happen? You go for a year, suppose you hate it. Come back here, I'll give you a position." So he took all the the barriers away, and I said, "Oh, what do I got to lose?" So I said, "All right, I'll give it a try." And they changed the entire course of my life in that 15-minute conversation. And I went, and I found out all my fears about medicine and my abilities to do it and whether I would like it or not. All that changed when I was in it. I found out I really loved it. I had an aptitude for it. It was not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. And then I fell in love with it. And that's been my life for the last 50 plus years. And it wouldn't have happened probably if it wasn't for that one fortuitous conversation. And the fact that the guy was basically telling me, "You're wrong about your thoughts about medical school." And I went like, well, maybe I am.
Well, yeah, but you were good enough, smart enough, and mature enough to listen. And beautiful, change that directory and guide.
And let me tell you something. That pattern has repeated multiple times since then, where the biggest breakthroughs I've had in my life have come from finding out how wrong I was about things that I believed that weren't really true.
So you've gone through your medical career. You delivered on that. You realized the anger portion. You're helping people with that, achieving that.
Yep.
But now, what's kind of your dream project?
Like I said, so anger and emotions are one area of focus where I've developed some expertise. I also have some expertise in helping people with relationships. I've written a lot of books about stress and taught a lot about how to deal with stress. I have other skill sets like how to enjoy exercise. Building out a Life Mastery Institute. So I've started something called the Orman Life Mastery Institute, and that will include all of my stuff around emotions and anger and relationships and stress and all the books that I've written and all the programs I've created and all the things I want to continue to create. Will all, that'll be sort of be my legacy.
All right, Dr. Orman, this is the fun facts about you. Ready for the rapid fire?
As ready as I'm going to be.
Okay, here we go. Are you more of an early bird or a night owl?
Early bird.
Okay. Do you prefer the mountains or the beach?
Neither. Flat land with golf courses.
Golf courses, perfect. I need to add that. Okay. You prefer coffee, tea, or something else?
A Diet Coke, caffeine free.
There you go. Excellent. Well, it's sure going to be fun having you on the podcast, and I want to encourage everyone to tune in.